Hey guys, you love spending time with your kids. You love getting hugs and kisses from them and hearing them say all those cute and nice things, but that's not always how hanging out with your kids goes. And if you've had a really hard day, then you can probably think of a few things you'd rather spend your evening on than hang out with your kids.
Yeah, we put our kids to bed between 7 and 7:30 every night, and that is the equivalent of parenting gold because we have the rest of the evening to ourselves. So we're gonna show you how to get your kids to bed early based on how we get our kids to bed early.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
We have 3 kids, probably 4 by the time this video is gonna hit YouTube, but for now we have 3. Their ages range from 1 to 9, and the 2 youngest go to bed at 7, and the oldest at 7:30.
Yeah, and this didn't just happen by accident. We made the conscious decision about wanting to have the evenings to ourselves so that we could do things like watch TV shows, or play video games, or play board games, or clean the house, or make lunches for the following day.
Or just connect with each other or do some self-care. So here are 7 points for how to get your kids to bed early. The first one is to understand your kids' needs. And your kids, they have a need of a certain amount of hours of sleep. And there are a lot of sources online. They all say about the same thing. Our kids, ages 1 through 9, they have a need of between 10 and 14 hours of sleep.
Yeah, so our oldest one needs 10 to 11 hours of sleep. Our younger ones need somewhere between 11 to 12, 13, 14. Including naps. Yes, we'll put some resources down below so you can check those out. The thing is, your kids, and this is, tough love, brutal truth, probably aren't exempt from that.
Yeah, so trust that. Trust the amount of hours that they need, because tired kids are just not fun.
Tired kids are unhappy kids.
Yeah, they are easier having meltdowns, they don't make friends as easily, they don't learn at school as well. I'm a teacher, I know this.
Bottom line, they're not adults, they need their sleep, they're still developing, and they need your help to make sure they get their sleep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Start early. That's you starting this one.
I am wearing shorts.
He is.
I just can't tell.
Promise.
The second point for how to get your kids to bed early is to start early. Now, the best time to start is very young. The second best time is now.
We are not baby sleep training experts at all. We have a method that we use and that worked really well for us. However, there are a lot of methods out there and you should pick the one that you feel most comfortable with. One thing we are gonna say though is that it's super important that your kid learns to fall asleep on their own. So put them down and let them find their own peace, let them find that calm.
Now this might be controversial and that's fine. I think the idea of falling asleep with your kids and kind of cuddling and caressing them as they fall asleep is super nice. But again, there's a trade-off. So they'll get used to this and then, that's kind of what they need to be able to fall asleep. It's not that we just put them to bed and say, sayonara kids, we don't care about you anymore, but we do have very strict rules about what isn't appropriate after it's bedtime.
Plus, it is also proven that if your child is able to fall asleep on their own and can find that inner peace, that's gonna help them later on in life when they need to calm down from an argument or try and find peace just as they walk through a difficult time in life. And you're helping them achieve that later on by teaching them how to fall asleep on their own when they're young.
That is profound.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
And I think we've said everything we need to say on this
I'm
point.
gonna say something.
We haven't quite said everything we need to say on this point.
I mean, this has brought us some issues when we're flying on vacation somewhere really far away and it's evening because our kids can't fall asleep when we're holding them. So as we're on a plane, we can't go anywhere. They're crying, we're trying our best. They're not used to it. So sorry if you've been on a plane with us, but we'll take that any day, having a day here or there where we're going on vacation versus every night going to sleep, good night, and we go downstairs and enjoy our evening.
I mean, we do try to...
We're not the kind of parents who give out those care packages to all the other passengers.
No.
Awesome if you do. I don't. But we are the people saying, sorry, thank you so much for being patient with our kids.
And we also tell our kids, stop kicking the seat! The third point is consistency, and I think this is super tied to what we've just talked about in making sure that the kids have a routine that they recognize. So you start with something that happens every night. For us, that's eating dinner together. And then you have a set sequence of events that takes place in more or less the same order until it's bedtime. And the whole idea here is that you wind down and you help your kids wind down and get ready for bed and know what to expect as they put their pajamas on and brush their teeth and have a bedtime story or what have you.
Yeah, exactly. So when they do have dinner, that signals to their brain, okay, it's dinner time. That means bedtime is soon approaching. So they're prepared for it. And when it comes to all those steps there, then it's really good to have a schedule written out with pictures or words, depending on your kids' age, so that they can follow along and say, okay, I'm doing this, and then they know what to expect.
And there might be no surprises here, but you'll probably need to tweak a little bit and change things up as you find out what works for your kids. And there might be times where a certain thing works and then it doesn't work anymore. So you kind of have to just keep it flexible and fluid. So we've tried, having bedtime stories. I'll read to the kids and they really enjoy that. And then they kind of stop enjoying that. And then we'll sing for the kids before they go to bed.
And then they stop enjoying that when it's mom that's singing. And then we went back to the stories. And then right now we're on, they get a 1-2 minute talk individually before we turn off the lights. What's key here though is that you keep it short.
Yeah, keep it short and keep most of it kind of fixed, but an element of flexibility in the whole bedtime routine.
This is good enough.
The Captain America.
He's wearing a cap. Thanks for the joke, Marcos.
What does your kids' bedtime routine consist of? Be a darling and leave us a comment below letting us know.
Was this here typing? Was it more like, hello? The fourth tip for how to get your kids to bed early is to make it a nice thing. So here we're talking about talking up bedtime. This is awesome. I try to do this with our kids a lot. It's oh, it's bedtime. You get to just lay there and relax and just cuddle with your blanket and your teddy bear.
So, okay, can I just interject?
Yeah?
If you don't have Christine's natural enthusiasm for life, I've got a really good tip for you, and that is to channel your inner parent. It shouldn't be difficult for you to recognize how nice sleep is as a parent and just channel that into the conversation with your kids. That was all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's important not to have bed be a timeout spot or a punishment. It's if you don't do this, then you can go to bed. It's it's a good thing. Going to bed is a nice thing. It's a reward. We sometimes use it as a place not for a timeout or a punishment, but you know what? Maybe go to your bed and just kind of relax for a little bit and we'll come talk about it in 5 minutes. And that's a positive thing.
You also want to reserve certain things for bedtime, like pacifiers, certain blankies or comforters, or teddy bears. Teddy bears are good for bedtime. So if you have a special teddy bear that the kids only get when they go to sleep, then they associate that with the bedtime and it kind of feeds into the routine that they have that helps them to fall asleep more easily.
It's nap time! And look, it's Mr. Bear! You can also play pretend sleep with your kids during the day. Oh, hey, let's lay here. And then we're all laughing and smiling together.
Yeah.
I mean, our kids snore when they sleep. Or better yet, where they get a little bit older, explain to them why they need sleep. Kids love knowing why. Why? They ask that a lot.
And let's put some resources in the description as well. Because there's a lot of stuff you can talk about why sleep is good for you and how it helps your brain and, retaining memories, retaining things that you've learned and building muscle and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, check those out in the description.
That was really good. I love that. Hey, if you've liked this video so far, make sure you give it a like. Hit that thumbs up button. It helps us and it helps you too because happiness spreads. So when you give a thumbs up, you get happier too.
And if you like, generally speaking, what you've seen on our channel so far and you haven't already, then please subscribe as well and click that bell so that YouTube will notify you when we release new content. That's one good reason for subscribing. I think we have fun making these videos. I hope that kind of translates through to the videos. I trust in you. Lovely!
It really helped!
And the third good reason is that we do content about how to reduce the chaos of family life. So if you have a family, if you have kids, and you have experienced the chaos of just trying to live a normal day-to-day life with kids, then I think we have a lot of good tips for you.
The fifth point is to have realistic expectations. And this is really important because, hey, when we say how to get your kids to bed early, these are just the 7 easy steps, then you're gonna think, oh, okay. And then if you fail at it after the first week, then you're gonna feel miserable about yourself. Don't do it. It takes a while. It's a process. Cut yourself some slack and just do your best.
It's just gonna take effort. It's gonna take time. That's basically what you just said, so I'm gonna stop talking.
Like when we sleep trained Marcus to get into his own bed, not a crib, one where he can actually get out of. I remember distinctly that he was lying in that bed the first night. We had doors in our student housing there that were a little bit above the floor. So I just said goodnight, closed the door, laid on the floor, and just watched his feet. And the first second he put his feet down, I was like, Marcus, go to sleep. And he's like, took them up. And then the second time put down, like, Marcus, go to sleep. And he's like, so it took like, I was lying on the floor for maybe like half an hour.
Yeah.
But it was worth it. I did it like a couple of nights. And it worked.
Yeah, and funny thing is, he still thinks we have x-ray vision.
Actually, the same day that I was making this outline, I was making it as I was sitting outside of our youngest room because he just decided that day that it'd be fun to keep turning on the light on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off after bedtime because that's fun. And
It is fun. I remember that distinctly. I also remember my parents giving all sorts of admonitions about why I shouldn't be doing that because, you know, it's bad for the light bulbs.
yeah, but my biggest admonition for why he shouldn't be doing that right there is that he shares a room with his older sister. And it's really hard for her to sleep when the light keeps flickering on and off, on and off. So I was
That's true.
sitting right outside the room, typing up this outline as I was like, lights off, lights off, lights off, and just like go to sleep, go to sleep. And he did that the night after as well, but he hasn't done it since.
It's a good investment and it's gonna pay off in the end. Be consistent. You can do it. Don't give up. The sixth step for how to get your kids to bed early is to understand your kids' personalities. Now, this is all about seeking first to understand and then to be understood. And we've talked about this in previous videos. Now, the whole idea of being consistent is great, but you have to be kind of consistent in putting in the effort in the right places. So if you understand what your kid's personality is with regards to bedtime, with regards to what helps them relax, then that consistent effort is gonna pay off a lot sooner.
You could do things like bath time, story time, music time, like whatever your kid really likes. It could be dinosaur time, like we play dinosaurs and they eat each other for a little bit before bedtime every night. Whatever really works for them. Lucas, he loves standing in our window and looking at the cars that live on our street. And he like is super excited about them every night, the same cars. Even better if we go for a little walk around the neighborhood and look at the cars, it's amazing.
It's a great excuse for me to look at cars in a way that a 2-year-old would, but just, you know, not having to do it by myself.
Actually, for our first kid, Marcus, we were new parents, we didn't know much, so when we tried to put him down, we heard music was good. So we put on some Baby Mozart for him, and like, oh, this should relax him, and he liked the music, but it didn't make him sleep.
No, we put on some Muse, and then he fell asleep. He loved that for
Yeah.
like the first couple of years.
We didn't mind. As you're doing this, it is super important to treat this as a fun investigating effort that you're doing. Because when it's nighttime and you're super tired and they don't want to sleep, you can easily get annoyed and angry. So,
Spoken from experience!
so make sure that you tell yourself like, oh, this is me trying to figure something out, solve a puzzle. This is fun. We are nerds, so we like to keep spreadsheets. So when something works, put it in there and like, oh, it worked really well here or there, so that you can recreate it later on
Yeah.
without having to rely on your memory. Because if you're tired, this one doesn't work that well.
Better yet, like put on lab coats, get some lab equipment, just get into it.
Isn't that good? I was gonna say, it's like, oh, quiet time. Like for our kids, it really works getting like all the energy out right before bed.
Yeah, dinosaurs eat each other.
Okay.
All right.
The last step for how to get your kids to bed early is to find your motivation. So here it's really important to be able to do a cost-benefit analysis.
Ooh, sounds fun.
Ooh, it sounds boring, I know, but it's really important to do. Like, make sure you find out, okay, what is it that I want from this? And what is the energy I'm putting in here? Because the energy seems like a lot when you're in the situation, but when you think about what it is you want from it, then it's a lot easier to actually get through it when you're in the tough times.
So look within yourself and find what it is that keeps you motivated to stick to it. If it's the idea that you'd rather be doing this where you put in the effort for a year than having to struggle putting your kids to bed for the next 18 years, then grab hold of that and keep going. Or if it's the idea that, maybe if you stick with teaching your older kids to fall asleep by themselves, then the younger ones might follow suit. I mean, that's also another idea that actually works really well that can motivate you to stick with it. Let me just get out of your way. We're making a video.
Thanks for watching. We hope you have tons of success in getting your kids to bed early.
Yep.
And if you look over here, there's another video that you'll probably also really enjoy.
Yep.
See you
and then we'll
next time.
see you when you see us.
Yep.
But that's not actually how YouTube works.